I want you to watch how quickly the seal is broken. I want you to see how easily it's broken. I want you to see how you can completely disregard the seal, almost, if you know just a few little pat phrases to say beforehand. Dan, is that what he called you?
Doug.
Doug, somebody's talked to you before about relaxation or hypnosis or kindred subjects, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And can you get a mental picture of that person in your mind?
Yes, sir.
All right. Maybe you can think better with your eyes closed. That's right. Get a mental picture of him. Can you hear him saying to you at some point in the conversation that the eyes won't work?
Yes.
And they won't. Test them, see. See, there's the perfect eye closure. And the seal is broken. Now that's how fast the seal is broken. Now, and see, does as hard as you want. The seal is broken. That's what I want to show you. That the seal breaks so instantaneously. And you could feel it snap. Is that right, Doug?
Just about.
Yeah. Now, numbers all gone? Make them all disappear. All gone? All gone. See? Now, it took a total of about how many seconds to break that? Maybe 5 seconds. So here a doctor goes and spends 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of his time sealing a patient off for some reason that he strictly holds in his imagination and is not real at all, and he keeps that patient from getting help. But if the man knows his way around in the seal, there isn't a doctor in this room who can't break the seal just as fast as I did. Yes?
You had 2 patients, one Dr. Waxman's nurse, and then another one in your analysis, who said that they were sealed off when you got them. And we didn't even know then what you were doing, and you just went ahead with them.
Yeah, I just went ahead and worked with them. And then,
in case you didn't remember.
yeah. No, I didn't remember it, but that happens quite frequently, because you see, in my capacity as a teacher, I run up against these sealed off patients quite often, and I completely disregard the seal and go right ahead. And I generally find that it doesn't matter at all. But you see, look what a beautiful state he's got. Should the man be deprived of help like this, he can take suggestions now which will aid him in so many ways, and I have no doubt but what the doctor has used it already on him for quite a number of things. Is that, or haven't you used it on anything, just to get the state? Yeah, but see, just once you use it on. But you see how beautifully he gets the state. Now,
just to see if you're able to come over here.
Yeah. And he gets the state so beautifully, and he could use it for a million things to help him. He can't use it for anything against the laws of nature. He must use it in accordance with the laws of nature, because hypnosis is a thing imparted by nature. So if nature makes hypnosis possible, it does not work against its own laws. That would be a direct contradiction of nature's powers. So here we have the seal broken in maybe just a few seconds. And any one of you, by remembering what I did, can break any seal in the world almost by that same technique. Now, doctor, when I have you open your eyes, is it all right if I apply the seal back on so that one of the doctors who heard me can practice and break the seal and let him see how the seal is broken? And if he doesn't break it, don't let him break it. You know what I mean? Is that all right with you? All right. Now, when I have you open your eyes, notice how good you feel. All right, open your eyes. It's a beautiful state. Would you like to come up, doctor, and see whether you can break the seal now? Because I assure you it's on.
Shall I test and see if he
You test him? I mean, make any test you want to.
Do you close your eyes? Close your eyes. Relax him so
You can already see the seal. You can see it. See what I mean? Now, incidentally, before he goes ahead, let me say that every sealed-off patient acts just like Doug acts. In other words, they'll go right with you to eye closure, and you'll see them trying so hard to get it, and then their eyes will pop open. And you'll see this again and again and again if you work with sealed-off patients. So this is the way a sealed-off patient acts, so know that this is the way you recognize them in your office. All right, doctor, go ahead.
Doug, I think someone asked you to close your eyes a while ago. Can you form a mental picture of the person who asked you to close your eyes before? Close your eyes and picture that person. Do you remember him telling you to relax your eyes?
Yes.
Relax them so well that you can't open them.
Yes.
Do you remember the numbers?
No. Just test them at this point, doctor. You got to test for eye closure.
Try opening those eyes.
See what I mean? You see what I mean? That's all that's necessary. A few little things like that. How long did it take you? Oh, about 3 seconds, I guess, is about all it took you to break that. That's all. And do you see how readily? He said, no.
Why don't you use some other method?
Doctor, wouldn't matter.
You
I don't care what. Oh, there's various techniques for breaking seals, but I wouldn't care what technique you use.
Maybe the other doctor didn't use eye closure as the.
No, that would be expecting too much, doctor. The person on whom you use waking hypnosis seldom knows that it's used. You almost always must come to a point in hypnosis, in trance state hypnosis, where the eyes are closed. And while I've worked with blind people and deaf people, dissociating another group of muscles and finding that the hypnosis works just as well, custom over the years has made us use the eye closure technique almost exclusively. You might say that 1 in 10 million might dissociate another group of muscles. All right, now you broke the seal very beautifully. Do you want to see that done again by another doctor so that you see that it can be done? But have you all got it? All right, now, go to the second phase of it. Now, doctor, tell him that anyone will be able to put him in the state, but you're the only one who will be able to rouse him from it.
Anyone will be able to put him in the state?
Anyone will be able to hypnotize him, but only you will be able to bring him out of it. I want to show you the first vicious variation of the seal, as if he doesn't mind. If he does, he'll tell you.
Do you mind if I ask you to permit only myself to arouse you from this very nice state you're in now?
No.
You don't object, is that correct? Well, from now on, anyone can put you in this state, but only I, certainly for the rest of the day anyway, only I can arouse you from it. Okay, may I have open eyes?
Yeah, sure.
Open your eyes
Now,
now.
doctor, suppose we ask you to come on up now. And let me tell you how this particular seal was used so that you don't think that this is strictly just something for show. This was quite frequently used on the stage operator. We encountered it in our work in the theater. In this way, some smart aleck doctor would say to himself, I'm going to show that guy. I'm going to show him how little he knows about hypnosis. So he would seal a patient off and send him to the stage, send him to be hypnotized by the stage operator. Now the stage operator gets him into trance very easily and puts him through all his paces, and now when he goes to wake everybody up, everybody wakes up except that one. Now that can send hysteria through an audience. The stage operator has to know his way very quickly to rouse from this particular seal, and so knowing the way, he rouses them from the state. You'd be surprised how fast you learn these things if you're doing public demonstrations. But another way it was used to discourage the doctor. This was particularly true when I was a kid. Old-time doctors who were practicing hypnosis for many years would hear that a new doctor was taking it up. And they didn't like the idea of competition. So they'd call up the new doctor who's studying hypnosis and say to him something like this, Doctor, I understand you're studying hypnosis. And the new doctor would say, yes, and find it very interesting, too. He said, well, you know, I've been using hypnosis for about 35 years. But in all that time, I've never met a better patient than the drugstore man down in the corner. How would you like to work with the best subject you ever worked with in your lifetime? That drug man happens to be in my office at the present time. Oh, gee, I'd love that, says the new student of hypnosis. Now the doctor seals him off, as he has already been sealed off, and sends him down to the other doctor's office. Now the student doctor puts him through all his paces because he can hypnotize him very readily. But now, notice what he hits up against when he hits up against the seal. Go ahead, doctor.
Now I'd like to have you take in a great big breath and just let yourself relax completely. And now I want you to close your eyes and let those lids become so completely relaxed that they won't even work at all. sure that you're completely relaxed, test them, and make sure that won't be more helpful. Now let that relaxed feeling go right on down all throughout your body. Let those numbers between the four of you fade away so that you can't see them anymore. You can't see them anymore at all, can you? Now we're all finished with our operation here. I'm going to have you open your eyes and see how good you feel. You can open your eyes.
See what I mean? Now, after working with a patient for about 40 minutes, putting smelling salts to his nose and everything else, and finding nothing effective for rousing him, he knows it's not the coma because the man has been taking suggestions just beautifully. What does the doctor do to rouse him? Now, if he knows his way around in the seal, he can be roused from this state. It's as easy a seal as the first one to break. But all you have to do is to reverse the technique. Now it's coming out instead of going in. And don't refer to the seal when you're breaking it, you know.
Do you remember the doctor who told you how you could relax like this? And then when he wanted you to come out of this relaxed state, he would have you open your eyes. Do you remember that doctor? And just bring him into mind, and now he's having you open your eyes, and when you open them, you'll feel much better than you felt all day. Go ahead and open your eyes.
See what I mean? What an easy seal. Thank you, Doctor. What an easy seal it is to break, if you know. All right, I think I've been... No, don't. Thank you. Let me just take all the suggestions away from you so that I know there's no seals or remnants of seals left in you. Close your eyes. Make the numbers disappear completely. They're all gone. Now, all seals that have been applied to you this afternoon will be completely gone when I have you open your eyes. Yes, Doctor?
Go ahead and have it.
Yeah, open your eyes, Doctor, and open your eyes, Doug, and notice how good you feel.
Now, Doug, I wanted to ask you, when I was trying to have you open your eyes, you just couldn't open them at all, is that right?
Well, yes, it seemed that I couldn't, or it seemed more important that I didn't want to. It just didn't seem that the reflex was there, the desire to try to open them was there.
Yeah. He gets a beautiful state. Now, there's a couple more phases of the seal that I want to show you, but either one of those phases I think any doctor here could handle. You see how simple they are. And because it is so simple to break a seal. Now, Doctor, you want to work with someone else? We can, because probably give you more experience. Thank you so much. I think we'll work with someone else to give the doctors a chance to see how the seal might work on someone else. Who wants to be my subject this time? Let's have some. Come on. All right, come on, Pat. All right, Pat, you know how to close your eyes and get eye closure. Just relax those eye muscles to the point where they just won't work, and when they just won't work, test and make sure they won't work. That's right. Now, when I lift your hand, drop it, those numbers will drop out just as they did before. That's it. Gone completely, right? Good. All right, now, Pat, an odd thing is going to happen after I have you open your eyes. If anybody at all talks to you on the subject of hypnosis other than myself, or talks to you about relaxation or any kindred subject, you're going to find a very odd thing happening. You're going to find that your sense of humor is about 500% above normal, and you're going to find that anything they say to you sounds absolutely funny. And you're going to find out that the longer they talk to you, the funnier it seems, until finally the very words they say will become unintelligible. And you're going to find that this happens after I have you open your eyes, and that I can put you into the state very, very easily, you know that. So you don't have to worry about it. But should anybody try to hypnotize you, they won't be able to hypnotize you at all, because it'll just sound hilarious to you, as though they're trying to play a big joke on you. Is that all right with you? All right. And notice how your sense of humor is 500% above normal when anybody talks to you about the subject of hypnosis. All right, open your eyes, notice how good you feel. How do you feel? Good. Okay, now let's get somebody over here. Do you want to come up?
Now, Pat, I want to teach you how to relax real good. I want you to close your eyes.
No, that's not waking hypnosis. That's
My husband.
oh.
It's contagious to me.
Oh, it's waking hypnosis to him. Yeah. All right, go ahead. Try to hypnotize.
Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. See how relaxed you
Now, Dr. Waxman, this is the type of seal in which I have succeeded in destroying communication between yourself and the patient. And this kind of a seal is practical. When I say practical from a standpoint that it's an awfully powerful seal, what doctor could fight that? You know what I mean? He'd probably say, I dealt with the whole thing. But it can be broken. And the idea for its breaking would never occur to you. And so I'm going to show you how to break it. I'm going to ask you to ask anyone in this room to you give that person line by line instruction for that person to give him line by line. And watch what happens. In other words, whatever you want him to do, for instance, take Dr. Williams here. Say to Dr. Williams, tell him to take a long, deep breath.
Dr. Williams, tell him to take a long, deep breath.
Take a long, deep breath. Come on. Try real hard.
Right.
Now tell him to close his eyes.
Close your eyes softly.
You see what I mean about communication being destroyed? Now, sometimes you even have to go so far as to use even for her to tell him to.
Wanna try that?
Try it.
Now, Dr. Williams, you tell Dr. Phillips to tell Pat to take a deep breath.
Dr. Phillips, will you tell Pat to take a deep breath?
Yes. Pat, take a deep breath.
Now, Dr. Williams, will you tell Dr. Phillips to tell Pat to close his eyes?
Will you please tell Dr. Phillips, will you please tell Pat to close his eyes?
Pat, close your eyes. And keep them closed. At no time should any of the other three do any hypnosis. In other words, let him tell you every word. Let it go all the way through.
Dr. Williams, will you tell Dr. Phillips to tell Pat to relax the muscles around his eyes so they won't open?
Dr. Phillips, will you tell Pat to relax the muscles around his eyes so they just won't open?
Pat, relax the muscles around your eyes until they just won't open.
Dr. Williams, will you tell Dr. Phillips to have Pat test his eyes to make certain that they won't work?
Dr. Phillips, will you have Pat test his eyes to see if they just won't work?
Pat, test your eyes and see if they just won't open. You got it. Now, Doctor, now, what Dr. Waxman should say to you is, now tell him that he'll be able to take instructions from me. Do you see what I mean?
Now, Dr. Williams, have Dr. Phillips tell Pat to take instructions from me.
Dr. Phillips, will you tell Pat that he can now take instructions from Dr. Waxman?
Pat, you can now take instructions from Dr. Waxman.
Now, Pat, make the numbers disappear. Get rid of them completely. They're all gone?
Yes. See what I mean? Now, sometimes it's seldom that you have to go through two intermediaries. Usually one intermediary is enough. But Pat took the suggestion so beautifully that we had to go through two intermediaries. Why it works with intermediaries, we've asked every patient that we've ever done this to, why does it work through an intermediary? And each one seems to give a different answer, and I have never been able to determine whether that's rationale or what it is, or do we have the answer? You want to ask a question?
Do they have to hear each person speak?
Yeah. If they don't, why? Now, you broke the seal beautifully, Dr. Waxman, by so doing. But can you see how helpless the ordinary person would be in a situation of this kind if you didn't have this information on this type of seal? But you see how quickly it breaks when you do know how. All seals break on a very easy basis if you do know how. Whenever they break communication, you have to work through an intermediary, and that's covered in your outline that you'll get today, so watch for that. I'm going to bring them out of the state and tell them that all seals are removed and everything has been negated. All suggestions except the ones that I gave to them previously this afternoon, I don't want those negated.
And not bad when I tell you to open your eyes. All suggestions that I have given to you now, and all suggestions that you have had about the seal will be completely gone, but you will retain all suggestions that Mr. Ellman gave to you previously concerning your study, and all during that session when he analyzed your troubles. Now when I tell you to open your eyes, you're going to feel very, very good. Now notice how good you feel. Open your eyes.
How did it feel when it broke?
How did it feel when the spell broke?
When
the seal broke?
Yeah.
Just like a breaking. The muscles just completely relaxing.
Yeah. Now, before that, what...
Would you help keep from laughing, or... I mean,
when you spoke, it was very funny, yeah. But it seemed through the intermediaries, when Dr. Williams spoke, it wasn't quite as funny, but when Dr. Phillips spoke, there was nothing funny at all. There's no reason to laugh.
You see what I mean? Yes, Doctor.
Did you get the idea that maybe this was something serious that should be corrected? Is that enter your mind?
Yes.
I mean, that maybe... Do you think that the intermediaries had some part to play in that? Once you found out there were other people interested in your...
Yes.
Maybe that would be the reason.
I don't know, Doctor. I've tried to analyze it, and I've never got it. He's come the closest, I think, to giving the true answer. He began to be interested in his own welfare. And so about the second voice he heard, or the third voice he heard, he said, wait a second, this better break. You know what I mean? And he might have the answer there. You gave the key to it right there. Now, since you are such a very, very good subject, I would suggest that you use him for this next experiment. What I generally do to finish the class on the seal is to walk out of the room and let you seal the patient off any way, shape, or form that you desire. And then by coming back into the room, and by the method I use to break the seal, expose the fallacy in the seal. And the fallacy in the seal is a terrific one. And once you realize what that fallacy is, I don't think you'll ever use a seal, because you begin to see how ridiculous the seal really is. Now, despite the fact that my doctors might feel that way, they'll still encounter seals in their practice, and I would like them to be able to break the seals, and that's why this lesson is so important. In fact, if you could know the number of times my wife and I have discussed this and said, oh, God, if we could just leave out that lesson on the seal, how I would love it. And she said, no, Dave, you can't. It's knowledge they have to have. You can put the sex lecture on tape. You can do a lot of things like that, but you can't put the seal on tape and have them understand the seal completely. Okay, I'll get out of here and let you work.
And multiple seals.
That's what we're going to do right now. Who's going to induce our subject?
This doctor has an idea of having him be unable to visualize Dave Ellman.
Use that seal. Let's get started.
So that he won't pay attention to anything he says, or...
Well, we'll carry it from there. Let's take one thing at a time, unless I can use the patient before we head
Our
there.
side now, aren't you?
I'm on your side, yeah.
Completely relax. Just let yourself relax. Like the work while ago, just think of the time to disappear in your own mind.
Talk loud. These men want to hear.
Just get relaxed completely like you were a while ago. Make those numbers disappear in your own mind. Just make them disappear completely like you did a while ago. All right?
Can you see any more numbers at all? Have they disappeared? They haven't gone yet? They haven't gone now? All right. In just a moment, Mr. Elman's going to walk back in this room. And you've heard all these methods of putting the seal on, and all the methods of breaking the seal. You will not even be able to see Mr. Elman walk in this room?
No, Doctor. I'm going to negate that. Will you stay this way just a minute, please? Let me explain why I negate that. He would use exactly the same method that we just used, and that is your intermediary. He will start talking to Pat. Pat, if you were to say, Pat, you won't hear him, you won't understand him, you won't see him. It won't take Dave 5 seconds to recognize that he's been sealed off from Dave in that manner. Whereupon Dave won't say another word, but he'll say, Dr. Stevens, will you tell him so-and-so? And he'll go right through exactly the same thing. We've just done that.
On the intermediaries?
That's right.
Can you make them, can't even see them either? Or anybody he has to speak to?
That's impossible to give. No patient will take that because think of it yourself. Will you take a suggestion that you can't see all the people in this room? You will up to a point.
Yeah.
You might say you won't see him and you won't see all the people on this side of the room. And Dave, not knowing that, will say, Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, he will use every person in the room. It might take an hour to do it. But Dave will keep going until he hits the person he will see and hear. Because no one will take a suggestion to be sealed off completely from his surroundings, from the people, and so on and so forth. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, also, just a minute, please. In going out of the room this way, Dave puts himself in the same position that you doctors are in. When a new patient comes to you, let's say from another city, you don't know this patient. You don't know the patient's doctor. You don't know if or how the patient has been sealed off. In other words, you have no knowledge of this patient except that you want to work with him. That's Dave's position now, because when you sit down, Dave won't know who applied the seal or how. But the patient coming into your office sees you and hears you and understands you. Is that correct? You can't talk to your patient. So outside of sealing him off from the viewpoint of using an intermediary, you have carte blanche. You can apply any other seal. Now, if somebody came up with a thought that you wanted to make the suggestion that should Dave try recall, in other words, that Pat will not recall that you applied the seal and haven't remembered that, you can do that too if you want to. You can do anything, but I want Dave to see him, hear him. I want him to see Dave, hear him, and understand him, just as your patient does. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
we can put that.
let's get him back in the state.
You will remember who did it. You'll remember
well,
how
we'll
I
go
did
on
it.
from there, yes. Do you want to start it that way, then?
Let's just relax, as you were before. Just as you were before. You go there immediately. You can count to 3, you be relaxed as you were before. Now, Pat, you know exactly how I performed this stage of relaxation. And perhaps it may be tried on you again. But in the future, in this afternoon, for example, you will forget any method by which I reach the stage of relaxation. Any methods that have been used to reach the stage of relaxation will be forgotten. You will forget anything about any method I use, such as eye closure, and those numbers and everything, and you will just forget any method of which we use to relax you whatsoever. And nobody will be able to put you in this relaxed state again.
What?
But myself. But you will remember, you will forget how I did it. You remember that I did it, but you will forget how I did it. And no one else other than myself in the future will be able to relax you into this state. Is that okay with you, Pat? Are you willing to do this? It's all willing. You're willing to do this.
Now, Dr. Stevens, you asked about many seals. In other words, this is your opportunity to compound the seal. Oh, excuse me, I forgot. You wanted to ask me something.
I just 1.5 to put the seal in it, regardless of how he's going to get him to the right point. He's free to do that. About being able to visualize.
I didn't get the question.
That's what I said a while ago. He won't be able to visualize me.
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, if Mr. Elman should ask you to visualize me, you will not be able to dream up my face or any form of my fashion in your mind whatsoever. Nor will you remember any of the words that I use to relax you, or will you be able to see my face in any form or fashion.
or any methods that I used. And the harder you try to picture me, the more difficult it will be.